Hi guys, welcome to the latest podcast in February. I hope you've all had a good month. Now, as you can see, I have yet another guest with me for this month, and this is Kevin.
Hello.
So, Kevin, can you just introduce yourself to start with, please?
Absolutely. Well, my name is Kevin, and I'm the volunteers manager here at Midland Mencap. So anything to do with volunteering across the whole of the charity, in all the areas that we work, I have some input at some stage.
That's great. And can you tell me a bit about how you got into becoming volunteers manager?
Absolutely. Well, I've worked in the charity sector since 2006 when I ran a family support charity. And I've worked with volunteers throughout since that time, really. And I get a lot of satisfaction from it. It's something I really enjoy doing. I find volunteers, people that give their time and attend things because they want to, really inspiring, loads of fun, and I get a lot of satisfaction from it.
Oh, that's great to hear. And I know that some of our citizens might not necessarily have seen your face before, but can you tell us how long you've been with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I joined here in May last year, so not that long really. Just after we sort of opened up again, really, after sort of the major lockdowns, we hadn't done any volunteering like most charities for quite some time. Unfortunately and very sadly, volunteering was one of the things that was really affected by the pandemic. So when that changed, obviously Midland Mencap straight away wanted to get back into volunteering, and I was brought in to help with that.
That's great. And can I ask, what does a volunteer do?
Well, there's no set rule to what a volunteer can't do. There's no typical volunteer. Volunteers can do lots of things for us and do lots of things for us. So some volunteers attend very regularly, come every week on a long-term basis, and really become part of the team, if you like, supporting the services that we deliver, whether it might be as one of our hubs or our group activities, some of our social stuff that we do, such as discos and things like that, volunteers might come along to. And also things like after-school clubs that we run for children and young people. Volunteers can come along, and some volunteers come along for just a short period of time. They might want to do just a small project or a little bit of help for us, maybe as part of a course that they're doing. So they come along and they give what time they want, really.
And if someone listening to this podcast today wanted to become a volunteer here at Midland Mencap, what types of commitments does a volunteer have to make in order to volunteer here or even elsewhere?
Okay. Well, if anybody is listening to this and is interested in volunteering, please let me know. Get in touch with me. Details will be available through Ash, I'm sure, or through the Midland Mencap website. But basically, there is no commitments that they have to give. If they are interested, they can come and have a talk to me, let me know what they want to do, and it is more about what they want to do and us trying to fit that into the things that we have available. So if they want to do something during the day or maybe of an evening, the odd weekend, and then depending upon where they live and where they can get to, we can look at what roles are available and hopefully find something that they want to do.
So it's quite nice and flexible then?
Very flexible. It's always flexible. I can't think of any way that it's always controlled by the volunteer. So if they want to come along, they come along. If they're not feeling that they want to come along that week, they don't come along.
And it sounds like, actually, and I can resonate on this on a personal level, having a disability, sometimes when you are looking for employment, it's really difficult because the stress is we've got disability living allowance or personal independence payments where it can cause a bit of stress thinking, if I work that I'm actually getting paid for, will I actually be losing those benefits? Will I continue getting them? Will that amount of money decrease or anything? So if anyone was to become a volunteer, would that affect their benefits?
Well, first of all, volunteering doesn't affect your benefits. You can volunteer, and really as long as you let your the people that provide the benefits know that you are volunteering, it's seen as a really positive thing to do. So there's no barriers to doing it, and part of my role is to make sure that people don't overcommit. So we wouldn't expect a volunteer to be doing 30 hours a week or even 16 hours a week. So the short periods that people can volunteer for don't have an impact on benefits. So And it is, of course, a great way of gaining experience that might help in a job search. But really, it's about having fun, enjoying yourselves and doing something positive, and it won't affect the benefits that you're on.
That's great to hear, because I know that, as I say, quite a lot of people stress about that sometimes.
It's really important, and people have to take these things into consideration. It has to be the right thing at the right time, whether it's work or volunteering. If it's going to have a negative impact on you, you might not probably want to do it. But really, there are no downsides to volunteering because it is flexible and it doesn't have an impact on things like benefits.
Definitely. And I know that you've just touched on a couple with, the flexibility that someone would get if they were to become a volunteer, and the fact that it would add to work experience if they were eventually going into looking for paid work.
Yep.
Can you tell me some of the other benefits of
Definitely.
becoming a volunteer?
Absolutely. I mean, the experience thing is a big benefit because a lot of jobs that you go for ask for experience, but how do you get experience if you can't get a job?
Yeah.
So it's a vicious circle, and people very often struggle to sort of overcome that. Whereas with volunteering, you don't need experience for us. It's about building up experience. Some of our roles, if people have done it before, it's fabulous. They can bring their skills and their backgrounds into volunteering, and we really welcome that. But we also want to create opportunities for people to come along and learn and develop and build up skills, and work skills are a big part of it. But there's lots of other things that people get from volunteering as well, and some of the things like social skills, building up confidence, getting routines, doing something different, and that improves your mental well-being and your general health and things like that. All really important benefits. Getting out into the community, making new friends, and also just being appreciated and part of a team. Some people get very isolated and lonely, and they don't have that sort of thing going on. So for somebody to say thank you and well done, which we do for our volunteers a lot, it's a big thing for people. So there's lots of benefits, both professional and also personal as well.
That's great to hear. And I know that, again, you've probably touched on this a little bit in the way that you've said that, it's flexible and tailored to what someone is able to commit to, what someone's able to do even, and what someone feels comfortable in doing. Now, if someone listening to this podcast was to become a volunteer, what help and support would you be able to offer that person if they did have a disability or long-term health condition?
Okay. Well, first of all, on our application form, we do ask if there's any reasonable adjustments that we need to make to enable somebody to volunteer easily, comfortably. So we do look at any reasonable adjustments that we can make. So maybe, on things like time frames, maybe people can't commit to, a certain amount of time. Doesn't matter. We can reduce those times so people feel more comfortable. Obviously, we pay travelling expenses as well. So if people have got to travel in and out, that we make sure that's covered as well. But if people want to attend with a support worker or a carer or a friend, then they're very welcome to do that as well. So people can come along in whatever way they feel comfortable with and just do what they want to do with us.
That's great. And from the point of view, obviously, you've just mentioned that there's an application form. And I think it's safe to say even when you're looking for a paid role, let alone a volunteer role, that can be quite daunting in itself.
Yes.
Is the application form fully accessible? If someone needs it in an easy read format, is it able to...
We've tried to make the application form as simple and as basic as possible. We don't ask for things like experience or history or things like that. So all it is, it's just basically data capture. So we ask, who you are, where do you live, how do we contact you, what's your emergency contact. And we could help people fill those forms in as well. So if somebody isn't comfortable or capable or able to fill those forms in, we can obviously help and support with that as well. But yeah, it is quite a straightforward, minimal form so that we don't overtax people. And we don't want to put any barriers in place. So I don't want a form where somebody has to put no on a form. Because I think that's always quite negative. Have you ever volunteered before? No. It doesn't matter. So don't ask the question. Yeah. So it's very open. It's two sides. And it is quite straightforward.
That's great. And the other thing is that, interviews are also quite stressful for quite a lot of people.
Yes.
I hope that you're not stressed either, seeing as I'm the one interviewing you today. But in terms of the interview process, what would that look like if I was to become a volunteer and I wanted to volunteer here at Midland Mencap, and I was successful in getting an interview? What would I expect coming to an interview?
Okay. Well, first of all, we don't call it an interview because, again, we want to move away from the work model. We don't want people to think about sort of, maybe going for a job and the stresses that things that can bring. So it's a discussion. It's a chat. We invite people in for a chat. And it's not across the table like this. It's very often side to side. So it is very much about reducing the stress of the experience of doing that. So we don't want to sort of people to focus on the stresses and, it's very much a friendly chat about what you want to do.
So is it safe to assume, seeing as you're the volunteers manager here, that you and or another member of staff, depending on what department that person was going to volunteer in, would be present? Yes,
yeah. As the volunteers manager, I'm there in all the interviews, in all the chats and discussions. You said interview, and now I'm saying interview. I'm there. Sometimes it is just me. If the managers or the departments aren't available, or we're meeting in a different location, then it might just be myself. But sometimes, the other person will come along, so that the volunteer can see who they'll be, helping and being alongside. Yeah, but it is me, so it's always going to be friendly.
And he's not that scary, everyone.
No, not really.
He's not that bad.
No, not as scared as I am right now, anyway.
He's not that bad, I promise you. So if someone listening to this wanted to become a volunteer, how would they go about doing it?
Okay, great. Well, there's a couple of ways. If they are able to access our website, we have a volunteering portal on the website, and there is an application form on there. They can just put their details on there, an inquiry form. They can just send it straight through to me, or they can phone us up using the main office number. Ask for me, Kevin, or ask for volunteers. You'll come through to me anyway, and we can have a chat about it. Or just pop in if you're in the area, if you know us. Come and see us, or if you attend one of our other activities, if you are a member of our Wheelie Castle hub or our Walsall hub or any of these activities that we do, speak to somebody there, somebody that you know, and just say, I'm interested in volunteering, and somebody will let me know.
And what type of opportunities do we currently have available?
Okay, well, obviously it is supporting the work that we do. So it might be helping out at one of our community groups. So it might be, assisting the person who's delivering the activity at Wheelie Castle or at the Walsall Disability Hub. It might be working within our carers team, supporting them to do some of the stuff that we do for our carers. It might be attending discos or social evenings and things like that, and just making sure that people have a nice time. The latest role that we've just put on our website at the moment is for volunteer DJs. So we're doing discos at Walsall on a monthly basis, and we're looking for people maybe that are used to doing a bit of DJing, or maybe can just come along to the disco and make sure that other people have a nice time. It really is a friendly, light touch thing to do.
And just in case anyone's unaware, Kevin also does a bit of DJing. So, you'd be after his job as well.
You can have my job of DJing. You can't have my job as a volunteers manager because I like that one. But I'm happy to support you in getting some DJing work.
Definitely. And I suppose just as we're finishing, I think it would be really, really lovely to actually end on, a positive news story, really, in terms of an example of someone who might have become a volunteer and how that has helped them. Obviously, I'm quite aware of confidentiality, maybe not mentioning any names, but whether you have any examples.
Well, thanks for dropping that one on me with absolutely no preparation. One of the things that I recognised when I joined the organisation is a lot of our citizens really do provide such a lot to us by being themselves. They don't see it as volunteering. They come along and they make what we do better. They make our groups better. They welcome new people in. They do things automatically. So I created a general role of citizen volunteer. So it doesn't have any additional tasks, but what I've found is that a lot of the citizens that attend really enjoy and benefit from the recognition that that role gives them. And then when we have things like National Volunteer Week in June, when we send out certificates of appreciation to volunteers, they're on that list. They get those little thank yous. And I find that that's really helped the well-being to the point where I've had the parents of citizens come up and say, since this person has been doing, this role, and they're not doing anything different, they really are blossoming and they're feeling more confident and things like that. So there are lots of these little things that maybe on the surface don't look great, but are massive behind the scenes.
And I know that, one of the places that I go most frequently is probably Wheelie Castle Community Centre, the hub. Yes. And I know that there's quite a few volunteers there that are also citizens of Midland Mencap. And I think, having people who are citizens who are also volunteering, it's actually, it's a whole essence of what we do. Yeah. And I think it's fantastic to see them, volunteering. They're all in the element and everything. Yeah. And I think actually they are that person to go to if you are wanting to become a volunteer. Maybe even speak to one of your friends who may already be volunteering.
Absolutely.
To get their experiences on it, because I know that there are quite a lot of positive ones, aren't they?
There's lots of examples of positive volunteering, and as you say, Wheelie Castle is a great example. We've got people that volunteer in the cafe, in the kitchen area for the cafe. We've got people that help deliver the sessions for things like food preparation and things like that. But also then when you go to the disco, the person behind the bar who might be serving drinks or snacks and things like that is a volunteer. The person that greets you when you come in and takes you through is a volunteer. There's all these things that people are doing, and they're not always visible, they're not always noticeable, but they're really important, because if they weren't there, it wouldn't be half as good as it is.
Yeah, and as you've just said, they are probably one of the most important factors in literally everything that we do here at Midland Mencap, because without those volunteers, we wouldn't be able to provide the sessions that we do, whether that is at Wheelie Castle, Walsall, Clifton Road, wherever that may be. Yep. Without those volunteers helping, we wouldn't be able to do those sessions as well as what we do.
We have things like sports sessions that we do. Certainly we've got multi-sports in Walsall that is pretty much volunteer-led now. And without the volunteers, that couldn't happen. So all the people that go along to the multi-sports are enjoying those only because volunteers are there to help deliver it. So it is really, really important, and it's great to see it. And then at Wheelie Castle, we've got things like we do the after-school clubs for the Children and Young People Service as well. And we've got 2 young volunteers from school doing a placement, and they're gaining experience and things like that, just helping out at the after-school club. And they can put that on a CV, they can probably get a reference in a while's time. And so if they do decide to go into childcare or social settings, they've got that experience already.
That's great. And just as a last question, and again, I'm putting you on the spot here again. If you could sum up volunteering in 3 words, what would it be?
Fun, useful, and important.
That's great. Thank you so much for coming, Kevin. It's been absolutely great to hear, all of the hard work that you're doing, as well as our volunteers. I hope you guys all enjoyed it today. And if you have any questions, you can always drop them through to me over my email, which is ashleigh.jones@midlandmencap.org.uk. And as I say, if you are interested in becoming a volunteer here at Midland Mencap, more than welcome. If you want to drop me an email, I can pass you on to Kevin, or you're also able to give Kevin a call, as he's just said. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I hope you've enjoyed this one today. See you later.
Thank you. Bye.